entering Dark Zone.
Ubisoft recently opened up the virus-infested doors of The Division to all gamers who had pre-ordered the game in the form of a beta. Here at Game, we couldn't wait to dive into this post-apocalyptic world and see what's what. Some of our favourite games have featured this kind of landscape, but there is much more to The Division's gameplay than you might expect. By fusing the action Tom Clancy games have become famous for, and an always online system similar to other games on the market, The Division becomes so much more than the sum of its parts. We were blown over by everything The Division had to offer, and we simply cannot wait for the game's release early this spring. However, we are still very much in the dark over some elements of the game, such as the storyline, but for now, here's 5 things we learnt from The Division beta. If you don't take cover in The Division, you will die. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you one bit. If you stand out in the open, you will die. Cover is of paramount importance throughout every single firefight. Luckily for us though, the virus-struck landscape provides more than ample amounts of cover to pick from, with cars, road blockades and the ruins of New York littering the streets. Using cover in the right way really can be the difference between winning and losing in The Division. Using the right way, cover can not only protect you from your opponents, but also provide you with tactical advantages such as flanking enemies during a firefight. The system itself is fairly intuitive and pretty simple to grasp. Simply press a button next to your choice of cover and you'll jump straight into it. Pull away from the surface to leave cover. It's nice to see that Ubisoft have kept the cover system simple. Despite its simplicity, the game brings some very nice touches to its cover system. While you're in cover, if you look at another cover surface, it will be highlighted. With a simple hold of the button, your agent will sprint from cover to cover. If you wait for a second once you've selected your cover, a line will appear between you and the new surface, giving you a chance to see how your agent will make it to the next cover surface. If you don't like the proposed direction, you can tweak it by moving your crosshair along the cover, allowing you to pick the best line of movement. This makes traversing the battlefield easy for experts and novices alike. Moving between cover becomes second nature thanks to this implementation, allowing you to concentrate more of your time on wiping out those who stand in your way. Whether you go in solo with a few friends, Dark Zone is an area designed specifically for tactics, teaming up and treachery. The main aim of the Dark Zone is to go in, take out opponents and pick up high value loot. As this is the most contaminated zone of New York, you can't just take the items out with you. Instead, you'll have to call in a chopper at one of the extraction points and have your contaminated items airlifted out before you can use them. Some of our favourite forays into the Dark Zone have been alone, coming across other agents and teaming up, taking out enemies for a while before going our separate ways. It's not always worked out that way though. There's been plenty of times we've come across another player engaged in a firefight and come to support them, only for them to turn on us after everyone's been wiped out just to take our spoils from the battle. Taking out fellow players in the Dark Zone does have its drawbacks though. The moment you engage a non-hostile player, you're marked as a rogue agent. This alerts everyone in the Dark Zone to your location. While on top of that, there's also bonus XP and offers up for grabs to the player who takes you out. And if you get killed, you'll lose more high value items and XP than normal. It's another high risk move, but if you can live out your rogue status, then all the items you picked up off vanquished foes are yours. How you play the Dark Zone is up to you. One of the things that surprised us very early on in The Division was the RPG system. Ubisoft had made it clear that there would be RPG elements to the game, so it wasn't a shock to see them. What was a shock was the sheer depth of these elements. It shouldn't be that surprising in hindsight. When we think about games such as Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, it becomes clear that Ubisoft have always implemented high levels of leveling systems and skill trees into their games. But it was totally unexpected to see this level of customization and options for character development from what on the surface appears to be a shooter first and foremost. Although many of the RPG elements were curtailed in the beta, there was still enough for us to get excited about. The leveling system is fairly straightforward. You earn XP for each kill or objective you complete. With every level up, your agent becomes more powerful and gains access to more technology, modifications and skills. The amount of skills to select from has us very excited. We only had the choice of 4 in the beta, but just looking at the list of other skills we will be able to get our hands on in the real game was more than enough cause for celebration. It adds an extra layer of customization to the game. If you work in a team, it means you'll be able to augment each other's abilities to become a real threat during firefights. The higher your level, the more skills you'll have access to. You can even mod each of the skills, giving you the ability to adapt each skill to the situation you find yourself in. It's not just your character you can mod though. Each weapon you pick up has the option for modification. As you play through the game, you'll find modification parts that bestow extra perks to your weapons, allowing you to craft a weapon to suit your playstyle. The level of customization available in the game is very promising so far. While we've only had a small taste of what the game has to offer, the beta got us suitably excited for the potential that the full game could offer. Whilst we're on the conversation of weapons, the shooting system in the game was not what we were expecting. On initial views, we expected the game to feature a shooting style similar to Battlefield or Call of Duty. Instead, what the Division offers is something more akin to Borderlands and Destiny, with a health bar appearing above each enemy and each successful hit showing up with a total damage number. It goes along with the HUD display, which is always on. This always active system where enemies are being consistently scanned during firefights to assess current damage is what the Division is all about. It's a post-apocalyptic world filled with highly advanced technology, and the shooting style mirrors this perfectly. Alongside this, the cover system allows for unpredictable firefights, even against the computer. Each combat situation you head into will differ with enemies trying to flank you. It's not just an all guns blazing type of game, it's tactical. You need to pick your moment to attack. Get it wrong and you'll be dead before you know what's happened. Time it right and the enemy won't know what hit them. The plethora of weapons, expertly implemented shooting style, HUD system and cover-based combat show the Division for what it really is. A well-polished, highly advanced tactical shooter that would demand all of your skill to master. New York is one of the most vibrant cities in the world, so imagine the landscape completely leveled and made barren. This is the playground the Division gives you. After the virus-infested chaos sweeps the city, everyone left in their droves as quickly as possible. What is left behind is the ruins of a once bustling city. Abandoned cars, road blockades and empty landmarks provide an eerie setting for the game. The almost one-to-one scale of the city is impressive. Although we only get a section of Manhattan, Ubisoft have created this section fantastically. It captures the dreary environment left behind in the wake of the virus. With civilians and looters scattered around the landscape, you never know who you're going to run into. The game operates with a living, breathing world, with a day-night cycle and weather patterns that can greatly affect your chances in combat, so use these to your advantage. From a technical standpoint, the draw distance was impressive, the frame rate was consistent, and there was no noticeable image popping as we traversed the landscape. Even when we were dropped into the dark zone, we didn't experience any noticeable lag. If Ubisoft maintain this when the full game is released, then The Division will not only be a graphically beautiful game, but also a technically stunning piece of game engineering. The Division has a lot going for it, and this beta has been a great chance for Ubisoft to showcase what the game is all about. We got to see all the different genres that make The Division in action. The shooting element is slick and sophisticated, with the added bonus of a highly polished cover system. That alone would be enough to make the game worth looking into. However, once you layer the RPG elements over the game, it gains another dimension, adding a huge level of replayability. Ubisoft also have a season pass on the way for the game, meaning that there will be plenty of additional content on the way to support the game post-launch. The Division is set to launch on March 8th for Xbox One, PS4 and PC.